Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market. We finally got some green, and it was two major catalysts that set this whole thing off this morning. And the market, boy, you want to talk about volatile. Man, I mean, at one point in time, it was a nice big drop in the market, but then, shockingly, got a V-shaped recovery here. But, we'll talk about the two big catalysts, one of which is extremely important. If you don't know anything about it, I'll actually tell you all about it and why it is so important, not just for the stock itself, but actually for our country, the United States in particular. And then we'll go into, you saw some super bullish flow coming in with some very strange options, things happening today. So I'll show you those as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about earnings. But, the good thing about earnings is this right here. The bar is very low, folks. I mean, if you look right here, the earnings downgrades have been just huge. And so they have set this bar so low. Not going to be hard to beat it. Matter of fact, what you're seeing with stocks now is some of them aren't even beating earnings, but hey, again, they're still going up. And so most of them should build at least somewhat hit it, you would think, as low as they got the bar set. But the real big catalyst, first of all, starting off, was Taiwan Semiconductor's reported earnings. And of course, even though their fourth quarter profit fell by 19%, they said in 2020, they're expecting growth of 20% because of, guess what? AI, say it with me, AI demand, right? And of course, they're the biggest supplier of Apple, Nvidia, pretty much everybody who needs chips, they're going to Taiwan Semiconductors. And of course, this absolutely fueled all of semiconductor stocks to just roar. I mean, AMD just shot right past its all-time high, which we'll look at that chart in just a second, of what happened when you get to all-time highs. But one thing is extremely important to understand. 90% of the world's advanced chips come from Taiwan. This is why that country is so important, especially Taiwan Semiconductors, which of course is why it's so important that we get this plant hopefully built. I think it's Arizona they're trying to build it for Taiwan Semiconductors. Hopefully that happens, because it really is more of a national security thing, because one country, I can't believe one country is really responsible for all those chips, but it's just crazy that we've allowed that to happen. But again, don't put it past China to try to take control over Taiwan, especially now they just elected the president. They're very not happy with that. And so it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, it's extremely, extremely important. I'm hoping we get that plant built here. It would be nice. If anything, just more for national security risk and everything else, because you can't do anything without chips, folks. And so, of course, and we've been waiting for this, right? Because Taiwan Semiconductors on their earnings, they really hadn't showed the growth, and you're thinking, wait a minute, how come Nvidia and AMD always want growth, and then the supplier for them isn't showing it? Like, what's going on with this chip demand? And now you're starting to finally see that, and that's why everybody's like, ooh, it actually is true, more AI stuff. And you can see what they did with AMD today. Just gapped it up, shot it up. That line is all-time highs right there. Boom, and then just sold it right back off. Because once you get up there, the air is thin. They pushed it, got people to pile in, and then just dumped it on them. It dumped about 6.7% right there, back down, and started to push up a little bit by the end of the day. It was always funny to watch that happen. And I think even one of our members even called that out. That's probably what was going to happen, and he was right. And of course, then the second catalyst, as we always say, the market goes as Apple goes, or as Apple goes, the market goes. Well, it ended up getting an upgrade just in time. Where was it sitting at yesterday? I'm confused. Oh, it was sitting on its 200 moving average. That's right. And where does it usually bounce from? It's 200 moving average. So it gets a nice little upgrade, gaps up, nice big day for Apple right there. You can see on the bottom down there, RSI is crossing over 50 now, about to get a bullish MACD cross. It's always funny, they didn't give it the upgrade when it was way up high, but they decided as soon as they got that 200 moving average, right, it's a great time to do it. And it worked. And of course, as it starts to push up, that brings back all the other Mag 7. Now, of course, it is up against the 50, the gap right above. That's all-time highs up there where it started to sell off with, I guess you can call it a double top if you want to. But that's where it sold off from. And when you look at the flow, which is rare, honestly, it's rare to see this, but actually on the options flow, Apple was number one. Usually it's one of the others. It's a Meta, it's a Tesla, something like that, even Microsoft, but not Apple. But you look at that. It dwarfed the rest of these down here. Meta has some nice bullish flow as well. And of course, what happens? The Qs say thank you very much, ends up going back up to all-time highs right there. Setting up that trend line right there, it's rejected off of and found its support multiple times. We'll see if this plays out and starts selling back down as a double top or not. But it looks like it's trying its best to try to get some momentum, because you can see even on, as this kind of traded sideways, the RSI has been kind of fading down, trying to get maybe a bullish MACD cross. So we'll see if this can absolutely happen, which can if the Mag 7 actually sit here and continue to get rolled into like they are. This right here is supposed to be looks like a swan, I guess, but it's supposed to be an arm flexing a muscle, or the bicep here. Let me draw some fingers. So if the Mag 7 flexes its muscle, then absolutely you will have it. And this will take out all-time highs just because of the weight that it holds in the QQQ. And of course, speaking of the Magnificent 7, a lot of the charts look the same, or is it just me? Like, this is setting an all-time highs again right here. RSI, as you can see, I mean, it's got the momentum moving into it. MACD's moving up. And so the momentum is there. This one right here is reporting earnings on the 30th, which would be not next, is it next week? I don't think it's next week. I think it's the week after. Google, same thing. We're just setting this level right here, kind of consolidating, trying its best to push through, right? Still got some momentum moving its way up. Again, that's all-time highs to the left. So if it can get through this area right here, which, you know, shouldn't be easy. Google's not a big mover. It's another one you will not see at the top of the leaderboard very often on bullish order flow. That's for sure. But if it can finally push through that level, it's been a long time since it's been there, then maybe it can get to all-time highs before, again, as Tom Lee said, we start to have a sell-off. Meta, what's it doing? Again, another one sitting on 2% away from all-time highs. The RSI is pushed back up right here. Actually, this is the weekly. If we go to the daily, you can see it even better right here. But this right here, you know, it's not overbought, right? MACD's looking fine. And so, you know, again, I think it's actually exactly 1.87% away from all-time highs right here. So they're all just kind of sitting at these, you know, levels. Will they be pushed through? Will there be a push down, a rejection? We'll have to see. And of course, the one of the Mag 7 that isn't doing anything is Tesla. Once again, it actually gapped up this morning and then just sold off pretty much immediately. Right? Broke prior day's low, retested, failed, tried to recover at the end of the day and stuff. But when you look at this, we'll go to the daily right here, and you can see, what do you see at the bottom, right? RSI sitting there, it is oversold, and the MACD is below that zero line for sure, going down there. Now the question is it going to be one of these where it gets oversold, immediately takes a pop up, or is it going to be one of these where it gets down there, pops, and then just continues to stay in oversold territory, come back down and set a new low? And you can see how far down the MACDs went on those two instances and where it's at now. So you can still see some more room to the downside. Again, earnings is next week. So, you know, will they sell or, you know, buy Tesla up going into earnings? And you can't imagine, again, you know, Elon Musk is not known to be a motivational speaker or a positive influence in those calls a lot of times. And so we'll have to see what the market's going to do on that one. Still a lot of weakness. And the thing is, even going back up, I mean, it is a boatload of resistance now because you're below the 200-week moving average, all your daily moving averages. But looking at like a 4-hour, you know, maybe it's trying to round out here. Maybe you'll start to see, because buyers definitely keep coming in when it gets oversold like this. They keep coming in trying to push it back up, and of course it's been gapping down. And so we'll see, because Tesla, obviously the most heavily traded stock out there, individual stocks. SPY is the most heavily traded on day traders, but as far as individual stocks, it is Tesla. And so you just got to start seeing the bullish call flow start to come back in. You did not see it on that list I showed you earlier. Now S&P, where are we at? 47 to 4,800. It's interesting to see how this has been basically consolidating in this area, and of course the RSI just kind of just trailing off, trailing down. And it was kind of interesting to see when you look at this, the flows that were coming in on the S&P were kind of crazy, actually. And when you look, this came in, I think it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And you had these February 2nd, 480s, and you see the sweeps, right? So that's like 12 million pretty quickly there. And then more come flying in the afternoon. And of course, that push up started to happen. So these folks made good money right here. And when you look at both the Qs and the S&P, the Qs, you got the 5-day moving average pointing up. S&P is kind of sideways trying to turn up. And then there is the IWM small caps, right? This one's a whole different story. This one, the 5-day moving average is pushing down, even though it had a green day right there. Again, it was a decent place to hold up because, again, you got the fair value gap to the left. And, you know, it was a decent place to hold up because you got that fair value gap to the left. It's reacting off of, same way it did up top there when it had another fair value gap. And so, you know, we'll see if we can finally get the 5-day moving average pushed up, see if you can get the RSI to actually turn up over 50. I mean, right now it's just a lot of money. It's just, you can tell it's heading into the Mag 7 with so many of them sitting near all-time highs or setting new all-time highs. And that is just that safe category where people go into and stuff. But you can see, I mean, right now that 183-ish area, will be such a good bounce area because it puts us next to another fair value gap to react off of. Plus, it'd be between the 50 Fibonacci and that golden pocket level right there, which is usually good for a bounce itself. But, you know, we'll have to see if obviously they get any love. But of course, the earnings have been rolling in for regional banks. Regional banks were up a little bit today, not too much. Regional bank earnings, as I put, you know, in this morning news brief, it's not been good, and a lot of it's going to be based off of, I think when it comes to regional banks especially, is what's going to happen in March if they do the Fed rate cuts, and if they let that lending program expire on March 11th, I believe it is. I just, and as I told members in the video, I can't imagine how regional banks keep going up. That just doesn't make any sense because they're still borrowing, right? They're still putting bonds up as collateral and getting money. And those rate cuts are going to be big for them. So, you know, we'll see. Let me know in the comments for those who are really into regional banks what you think about that and stuff. I always appreciate your opinion. Now, when it comes to earnings tomorrow, again, are you going to have more regional banks? And let me make a correction. One of the viewers told me, I don't know why I see Travelers and automatically think of a traveling company. No, this is the insurance company. My fault. Let me make that correction now. And so I wouldn't have circled if I would have known that. And now when it comes to economic data, obviously, you said, you know, there's a lot of home data coming out, but then Michigan consumer sentiment is going to be coming out, so we'll see how that goes. And of course, the economic data today was just completely ignored because you had, you know, hot job data come out where the initial jobless claims and the continuous jobless claims were less than expected. Philadelphia manufacturing data was, you know, or actually, yeah, data was actually weaker than expected, but the market didn't care about that. This was strictly on Apple upgrade, bounce off of 200, and Taiwan Semiconductors and the AI pump. That's what this was today, and more money just rolling into the Mag 7 or Mag 6, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you want to put an AMD in Tesla's place or whatever. So if Tesla ever does get going, it would definitely help push up the Qs and the SPY even more today. And so, you know, we'll see if that's going to continue going into earnings because all of a sudden the Mag 7 is going to start reporting next week and the week after that. So, you know, I want to see, are they going to push them up actually really going into earnings? But remember, the bar is low. A lot of those companies are going to get to keep a lot more money because the dollar has been weak pretty much the whole quarter, right? So they're going to get to keep a lot more of that money when they convert it back into US dollars. So it's going to help the bottom line look even better. So keep that in mind. So, you know, anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think. Give me your prediction for tomorrow. Remember, it is monthly OpEx, so it'll be trillions of dollars of options expiring. So it will definitely be volatile. Tomorrow is what I'm expecting, same as today. So let me know what you think is going to be, green or red. Anyway, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you later.